Hi friends, happy Monday. Over the past week, I have broke my no buy ban for November and December, and I read just a little bit. So, first I wanted to show off all of the new books that I got. I did buy quite a few. There are quite a few of them, and it's purely because Black Friday sales. Specifically, EB Games was having a 40% off, I think, it was either 30 or 40% off all of the books. And then their used books were already $6. So I couldn't not buy them. They were very, very cheap. A lot of them I had no idea what they were about. They were cheap, so I bought them and I'm hoping I like them. There were quite a few that I almost bought but then didn't just because I looked them up on Goodreads and they didn't have good reviews. And I have only so much shelf space that I can't just buy everything I want to. I have to kind of limit myself a little bit. So let's look at what I bought. This is the first one. Everything's in English also because it's from EB Games. This is the first one. It is called the Lapis Lazuli Crown. I have no idea what it's about. It's a volume 1. I feel like I have an inkling like this has been canceled. I had never heard of the publishing house, which is CMX. And when I tried to Google them, Reddit referred me to an article that said like the graveyard of unfinished stories, something like that. So I feel like this has been unfinished, but if I like it, I can continue in Japanese. That's the beauty of being able to read English and Japanese. But I just thought it seemed interesting. The premise at the back sound fun. I'll read the back for just 1 second. And it says, in the kingdom of Saravin, it's not uncommon to have magical powers. But young Miel isn't really interested in developing her own, despite her family's history as some of the most important magicians in the realm. She's trying to live a more mundane life, much to the frustration of Sarah, her older, overachieving sister. Her life changes one day when she meets a young man on the street who claims to be a stranger in town. Is it only a coincidence that he looks like the reclusive young Prince Radian? I thought it seemed interesting, so I'll read it. And if I don't like it, it was cheap, so it's okay. The next one is this one called Nabi the Prototype. This is a Tokyo Pop one. I purely bought it because I liked the cover. And that's okay to do. I think the cover's beautiful. I did read reviews for this one and they all said it's a confusing story. I'm going to try it though. This is an anthology series and it's a one-shot as far as I can tell because there's no number on the side. And this is not a manga. I'm pretty sure it's a manhwa. This is Korean translated into English. And then reading the back super quick. A young girl is kidnapped by her father's political enemies. A bride-to-be embarks on a journey to her new home. But her escort has other plans. And a tough boy falls for the orphan girl he's supposed to protect. In these moving, poetic stories, people are often not what they seem, while love comes from where you least expect it. Again, I thought it seemed interesting. I like a confusing story, so we'll see. Next one is one that I do know, which volume 1 of Kagurabachi. They had the first 3 volumes, but I don't know if I like it or not, and I didn't want to buy 3 volumes to a series I don't even know if I like, so I only got volume 1. I will say I did read first chapter on Free Comic Book Day, because that was one of the comics included, and I did really enjoy it. I had been meaning to collect it in Japanese, just I didn't. And then this was on sale, so I figured it was Kinsmic. But when I bought it, the employee at EB Games was like, he thought it was hilarious that I bought Kagurabachi. Everything else, he had no comment, but he kept like giggling to himself, like, ooh, Kagurabachi, as he was checking me out. And I'm like, what's so funny about Kagurabachi? I don't know. I think it seems interesting, so I'm excited to try it out. One that I've already read, volume 1 of Blood on the Tracks. I know this series and I really like this series. I read volume 1 through the library and I enjoyed it enough that I decided I wanted to add it to my collection, but I didn't want to pay full price for a series that I have already read or for a volume that I've already read. So it worked out so well. So now I can continue reading on because I've only read the first volume and now I have the first volume and I can move on. And then the last one I bought, it's not that many, is Gashiakuta. This one, I actually didn't have, like, I knew about it, but I had no desire whatsoever to read it. And then like things happened on Twitter where the author was like mean to people or something. I don't know. I'm not quite sure, but I know there was something that happened on Twitter that kind of made me feel kind of way. And I just didn't want to read it even more. But it was on sale. And I do like the art. From what I've seen of the story, I think I'll like it, I think. And it was cheap. So, you know, if I don't like it, that's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I do know this has an anime. I have not watched the anime. I've seen bits and pieces of the manga. And I think it seems kind of maybe interesting. I don't know. We'll see. So that's everything I bought for Black Friday. Because my birthday and Christmas are both in December. My birthday's 2 weeks before Christmas. So I'm not allowed to buy anything for myself towards the end of the year. And normally I'm okay with that. Like, I impose this on myself. I don't buy anything for myself towards the end of the year, except I'll do, like, a special Amazon Japan package deal for myself. But it's hard. It's hard not buying things. I like to spend my money. But okay, moving on to my reading recap. So, last week I read a total of 4 volumes. Most of them are English, and 2 of the English were gifted to me by a very nice person. And then 1 Japanese. I did read 2 series yesterday on Sunday, and I may talk about them if I don't yap too much in this video, because they were really good volumes and I really want to talk about them. But the first one I read is The Too Perfect Saint, tossed aside by my fiance and sold to another kingdom. This first came on my radar when it was in the anime. Like, it had an anime, and I kept seeing clips of it, and I thought it sounded interesting. I had never seen anything of the manga, which is kind of new to me. Normally, I hear news about the manga and then the anime, but I had heard nothing about the manga, like, whatsoever, just the anime, so I was kind of confused. I thought the story seemed interesting. I wanted to read it, and then it was gifted to me, so I could read it. I really liked this. I like stories like this, though. This kind of gave me somewhat similar vibes to the Saint's magical power is omnipotent. I think that's the title. They're different enough, but this gave me similar vibes, and I like both stories. So if you like that, you'll probably like this. I think my favorite thing about this was the sisters' relationship, because in the story we have 2 sisters, both are saints. Our female lead here is like the ridiculously overpowered saint, while her sister is beloved but not all that much powerful. And the powerful saint is hated by everybody because she has difficulty showing emotion on her face, which is stupid. And she's sold away to another kingdom without her sister's knowledge. And so the 2 sisters are like the best kind of sisters. They love each other. They understand each other. When the powerful saintess is sold away, the younger sister is kind of like very upset. She's trying to figure out what happened. So typically in stories like this, you'll see like 2 sisters on a somewhat similar standing. One of them is jealous of the other and then becomes the villainess and tries to sabotage her sister. Typically, I feel, especially nowadays, most stories including sisters, at least on similar levels, are like that. I like this because it's different. I like this because the 2 sisters truly care for each other and it's very nice. And when the powerful saintess literally gets sold off by her ex-fiance, the younger sister, the other priestess, or the other saintess, is upset about it and is trying probably to do something about it. I enjoyed it. And then let's talk about my ratings for it. In terms of the story and the plot, I really liked it. I don't think it's going to have like the biggest plot ever, but I am still really enjoying it. So we have our saintess who is bought off by a neighboring country because they need a saintess to help purify their lands. And this very, very powerful saintess surprises everybody with her powers. In her original kingdom, she's feared and hated because she's so powerful. Literally, like, she killed all the monsters with her magic. And then the soldiers hate her for taking away their jobs. Kind of like that, like, it's dumb. In the new kingdom, they're all like, oh my god, like, thank you for helping the soldiers kill all the monsters. Like, it's a very different reception. So it's less, like, heavy plot, more just following her in her life, which I really like. In terms of the characters, I actually liked just about all of the characters. Typically in stories like this, I have the complaint where, like, the villains are too villainy, where they feel like almost cartoonish. And I don't like a cartoonish villain, I like an evil villain. And the princely fiance, or the crown prince fiance, is evil enough that, like, yeah, you hate him. Like, he's very evil. But he's not so cartoonishly evil that he doesn't feel realistic. Like, he feels like he's just teetering the line between, like, evil enough and not too evil. Like, he's right there. And I really like him as a villain because I feel like, this is just my prediction because I haven't watched the anime and I've only read volume 1 of the manga, but I feel like the younger sister is going to get revenge for her older sister through the Crown Prince. I feel like that's what's going to happen. I can feel it, and I hope that's what happens. In terms of the art style, it's very pretty. It's very, very pretty. I really like all of the character designs. I think it's nice. Like, it's not my favorite art style, but I do really like it. In terms of, did this make me feel anything? I was entertained. Like, I liked it. There were no, like, big romantic parts. Like, there was nothing all that much shocking. Like, every time something kind of sad happened, it didn't linger too much on it. And it wasn't all that much surprising. So it's not a stressful read at all. It's a very nice, kind of casual, easygoing read, I would say. Is the story complicated at all? How readable is it? It's very readable. It's not all that complicated whatsoever. Like, well, there are magic systems and whatnot. It's never so convoluted that you won't understand what's happening. Even without an explanation, I think it's really easy to follow along. And then, do I recommend the series? I do. I liked Volume 1 so much, I tried to buy Volume 2, even though I'm on a buying ban. I tried to buy Volume 2. I went to 2 different chapters, 2. Neither of them had the series, like, at all in stock, which is dumb. I'm going to assume that it's so popular that it was sold out, and that's why it didn't have any. I also read this one, which is called I'll Become a Villainess Who Goes Down in History. So this one is one, it actually had me not break a rule, but so typically when I read, especially in English, and a little bit more specifically towards novels rather than manga, but if there's swearing, it breaks immersion for me really, really quickly most of the time. Or heavy slang usage. Like, 9 times out of 10, it feels out of place. Looking at you, Fourth Wing, could not finish that. But even though there was swearing in this one, there wasn't really slang, but there was swearing, it didn't break immersion for me. It felt, like, right, I would say. This was fun. It was funny. I really enjoyed it. There were a couple parts here and there that were, like, a little bit questionable, but looking at the overall picture, I did enjoy this. I liked it. I like a good villainess story. It does spin things on its head, like the teeniest, tiniest bit. Not so much that it's revolutionary, but enough that it's entertaining. So I did like this one. This follows a girl who is reincarnated into the body of a villainess in an Todome game. And she likes this Todome game. And she's happy that she was reborn as the villainess because she loved the villainess and she hated the heroine. So she's going to take over the villainess's body and become a true villainess. But her idea of what a villainess is kind of different than what it should be. So she's kind of like exceeding everybody's expectations of her while she's on her quest to become a true villainess, even though she's just like getting better education for herself. Like, she's not really being a villainess. And it's fun. I like it. Like, the kind of questionable part is her relationship with who I'm assuming is the male lead. There's a bit of an age gap. It's a little bit strange. But if you can get over that, like, I'm choosing to ignore it. If you can get over that, I do say this is a fun read. So let's rate it real quick. In terms of story and plot, I do think it's fun. I do like it. Our female lead, villainess, it's not revealed whether this condition was present in the original villainess's body and is still present now that she's reincarnated into the villainess's body. It's not quite clear, but the story really revolves around her being outstanding at literally everything she does. Literally everything. She picks it up super quickly. So quickly that it gets the attention of all of the nobles and the king and everybody, and it's a thing. And she doesn't really realize that, like, there's a lot of attention on her for the reasons that there are. She thinks the attention's on her because she's being a good villainess, when really it's people being concerned that she's so overwhelmingly good at everything she does. So it's fun to watch her be kind of, she's not dumb because, like, She's clearly a smart character, but she's a little bit oblivious. That's the word. She's a little bit oblivious to what's happening around her, and it's fun because even though she's like she is smart in some capacities, in like some subjects, in others, like the more social ones, she still has a lot to learn, and it's fun watching her flip-flop between being very, very smart in one area to like completely like not knowing what to do whatsoever in more social interactions. It's just fun. In terms of the characters, I will say I do think some of the characters are pretty weak, especially like all the men in this series. I do think they are pretty weak. It does really, really follow our female lead here. Like, she has two brothers that, like, they could not be there and it wouldn't really make a difference, if I'm being honest. The male lead, too, he's just there. Yeah. I do think it's purely, like, this doesn't need to be a romance, in my opinion. It could just follow her on her quest to be the best villainess, and it would be, like, a better story, in my opinion. At least after reading Volume 1. In terms of the art style, it's nice. Again, it's not my favorite, but it is nice. I have no complaints. In terms of did this make me feel any emotions, it did make me laugh. I will say there were a couple panels here and there that I did genuinely find to be funny. And typically, it is difficult for me to get along with comedic manga. I don't know what it is. Just 9 times out of 10, the comedy just doesn't hit for me. But this did. I did like this. It was funny. In terms of, is it a confusing read? How readable is it? As long as you're familiar with like transmigration stories, you will not be confused. It is a very straightforward story. And then do I recommend it? Yeah. If you already like Villainess stories, sure. If you're not sure if you like Villainess stories and you want one to start out with, I would not start out with this one. I do think there are better ones to start out with, but this is still fun. If you want one to start off with, I have a recommendation, which is this one. This one's a very good one, which is, the English is something like, I'm the villainess, so I'm taming the final boss. Something like that. It's a short one, and it's very, very fun, and it's very good, and I highly recommend it. Moving on to my one Japanese read, which is this one called Isso, Anata ga Todome o Sashite. This one is getting an English release by Kodansha next spring called You Might As Well Be the One, I think. There are currently 5 volumes out in Japanese. I own the first 4. I've read the first 3. And I have had this one on pause for a while because this is a really stressful read for me. This feels the most like a K-drama out of everything in my collection. And I don't like stressful reads most of the time. So I have had this one on pause. But I was feeling in the mood for something a little bit dramatic. You know, I wanted to feel something. So I reached for this. And it was so good. It was so good. This is the best series. This is the best volume in the series that I've read so far. It was so good. I don't know what the author put in it, but it was fantastic. I feel like every volume of this series is like exponentially better than the last, like to a surprising degree. So I'm scared to read volume 4. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm ready. But yeah, this is good. This is still, it's a love triangle. The triangle really, really gets triangle-y in this volume. I personally am rooting for the second male lead, but I will say one of my complaints with this series was that Ichika was pushing her, or female lead Ichika, was pushing her values and her wants on who I'm assuming is going to be the male lead who's stupid and I don't like him. She was pushing her values onto him, and he would straight up say, like, I don't want a girlfriend. Like, I'm a playboy. You deserve somebody better than me because I'm not serious about women. I'll never be serious about women, probably. And I know you want a serious relationship, so you should find somebody to be serious with. And he'll say that directly to her, and she'll be like, but I like you. So you need to want to date me. And he'll be like, bruh, like, I just told you I'm not about that life. And so she'll be pushing her values onto him. And, like, he's a playboy and she's beautiful. So he'll be like, yeah, like, I can hang out with you, but I'm still going to hang out with other girls because that's just who I am. And then she'll get upset about him hanging out with other girls. And it really frustrated me because he was pointing out, like, he was spelling it out for her that he would cheat on her. and she will be hurt by him. And she was just like, but I like you. And I just found it frustrating. But in this volume, we have, I don't want to spoil it too much. Oh, in this volume though, okay, we see Ichika and her, like, we see her rationale, I'll say, for why she's trying to push her feelings onto him as much as she has been. So she'll say, it was a really good scene. She'll say, like, yeah, like, hanging out with my friends is fun. Hanging out with the second male lead, it's really fun. But literally nothing compares to hanging out with you. And it's like, yeah, like, I get that. Like, when you like somebody, even if they suck, like, you like them. Like, you can't help it. And, like, I really get that. And I felt for her so much. This volume really got me. I changed my entire opinion. I've always liked the series. It just stressed me out. But I can forget the stress from thanks to this volume. It was so good. I want to read on. Okay, talking about the story and the plot, my ratings. So the story isn't all that, like, deep. I'll say it's a university romance series. We have a flashy university student who really wants to find a relationship, but every man who seems to be interested in her really only wants, like, a one-night stand. They approach her because she's beautiful, not because they actually want a relationship. She meets this guy at a mixer one day and, like, instantly falls for him. And it seems like they're gonna start to date until he reveals, like, actually, like, I don't want a relationship. And she's like... So it follows them. And it's, like, it doesn't seem that complicated, but it's just so good. It's gripping. It's a good drama. In terms of the characters, I have grown to really like Ichika. She acknowledges that the dumb male lead is dumb and sucks, and she'll, like, even lament to him in front of him, like, why does it have to be you? Like, I hate you, but I also really like you. And it's just, I feel for her so much. She's very relatable. I really like her. Him, he sucks. I don't like him. I think he's dumb. He feels really real, though, is the thing. And I hate him. The second male lead, I think, is much better. He doesn't feel, like, as realistic as, I guess, these two do, but I still like him better, and I do think he's a good balance between, or for him at least, where we have one scummy guy and one, like, overly caring guy. I think they work well together to balance each other out. In terms of the art style, I do think it's pretty. I will say, I love her character design. I don't like his. He does not stand out to me. Nothing about him, to me, is outstanding. I think she can do a lot better, but again, I get it. In terms of readability, it's a drama series. You're never really going to be confused. I guess you could get confused if you forget some of the character relationships, but then you just reread it and then you'll be fine. And then do I recommend? Yeah, I recommend that only if you like a good drama series, though, because this can be very stressful if you don't like a good drama. Point in case, I don't like drama all that much and it took me forever, but it's gripped me now. I'm going to read volume 4 very soon, probably. Okay, and the last one, so I'll talk about what I read yesterday, I guess, next week. That's okay. I finished MADK. This is an English one. It's very thick. This is volume 3. This is the final volume of the series, and I'm feeling like every type of way about having finished this series. This was so good. This is like a intense horror series. It is graphic. If you don't like horror, I highly do not recommend, I will say. I have friends who've heard me talk about that I like this series, and they picked it up and then they got mad at me because it's a graphic horror series. So you have to be ready. It comes with every trigger warning under the sun. But that aside, so this story is about a boy with a peculiar habit. And in order to satiate that habit, I'm trying to be, like, politically correct, he summons a demon. Demon helps him become satisfied and then decides to take him into the demon world and turn him into a demon. And then from there's lots of manipulation. We have our main character, his name is Makoto, like, play the game to rise the ranks in order to, like, outrank the demon who originally brought him down and made him into a demon. Their relationship is incredibly complicated. and really interesting to read. I really like it. So, volume 3, everything comes to a close. And personally, I don't like it when things that I like end. And I really liked MADK. Be it like manga, be it TV, literally anything. If I enjoy it, I'm not going to be happy with the ending most of the time. Or I'll go as far as not completing it. Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I'll never watch the last episode, so it'll never be done for me. That's like the level of how much I don't like it when things end. But MADK, I finished it, and it was complete. The last volume perfectly, in my opinion at least, perfectly completed all of the storylines. There's no loose ends. You can see where everybody ends up at the end. The third volume, by the time it's complete, all of the actions of the characters throughout the past 2 volumes are perfectly explained. And it's just, it comes together in such a way that you're like, I was left speechless by the time I ended it. Partially because I enjoyed it and I didn't know what to think about that, but partially because I had no questions, because everything was answered, because it was such a good ending. And just, I've never felt like that before. I'm all sorts of confused still. I don't know how to talk about it because I really liked it. And it was very good. And this is one of the rare ones that even though it was only 3 volumes, I don't think it needs a spin-off. I don't need any more. It's complete. And it was so good. It was so good. Okay, talking about my ratings. In terms of the story and the plot, I loved it. It was very interesting. It has an interesting story and plot. It is the plot that drives the story, not anything else. So, like, I'll say there's no romance because it's not a romantic story. I guess, like, obsessive romance, kind of, but not really. It's heavily plot driven, and it's very interesting. There's lots of mysteries to uncover. You never really know what anybody's thinking, and it's just really fun. In terms of the characters, I really liked, like, all of the characters. I don't think there was a character that I disliked, to be honest, because they all had different layers to them. Like, every character, nobody was one shot. I don't think, at least. I'm trying to think. No, just some of them were more fleshed out than others, just depending on how prominent they were in the story. But everybody was really interesting. Obviously, my favorite character is Makoto because he's a psychopath. He's crazy, but it's so good because moving on to the art style. The art style really, really worked well to show the different sides to each character, specifically Makoto, and a little bit the demon Jay, a little bit, but Makoto, the art style, like when drawing him, would kind of switch between a little bit goofy to like very spooky demon, like crazy expression. And it was just really, really, it was so nice. And yeah, the art style is beautiful. This is one of my top 10 favorite art styles in manga, like ever, I think. The art is gorgeous. In terms of emotions felt, I was really invested. I really, really enjoyed it. Like, there's no comedy. I was never really scared. I wasn't all that surprised just because I like horror. So I have seen a lot of scary things. So nothing in here really surprised me, I'll say. But I was very invested in the story. I was thoroughly entertained by it, I will say. In terms of readability, even though the story is a little bit complicated, there were only like 1 to 2 times where I was kind of like, like what's going on? Overall, I do think it's very easy to understand as long as you're paying attention, but it does get a tiny bit complicated in a couple different parts. So just be careful. And then, do I recommend? Only, like, I want to say yes because I really, really liked it, but I understand this is not everybody's cup of tea. So, if you really like horror, yes. If you don't really like horror, no. I want to recommend it. It was very, very good. I really liked this. And that's everything I read last week. Yeah, I guess because yesterday was Sunday, which is this week. I'll keep it week at a time. So I'm not talking about what I read yesterday, I guess. But yeah, that's everything I read. And I did read actually quite a bit of digitals. I did a lot of sampling. And then I did what was supposed to be sampling and then ended up reading the whole novels on my Kindle app. So I will talk about those later this week. But if you want to read my reading recaps earlier, I do post them all on my blog a little bit before I can get around to filming my weekly reading recaps, if you are so interested.